Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you may reside on this planet. I am Dan Clayton, the host of this lovely radio show, the Double Feature Podcast, and joining me today is the long-lost cousin of Mr. Fantastic himself, Mr. L Productions. I'm not keeping this up.
Yo.
Right. Okay, just for context, this opening gag, you've literally just realized what I'm wearing. I didn't tell you. I just said I'm gonna do a gag for the start of the episode. You didn't know what I was gonna do.
Yeah, I don't know what I expected, but I don't think it was this.
Wait, you should. I mean, this is me, Mister. Like, I watch the Elvis movies. I am obsessed with like 1960s culture, so you should have expected something like this. But as
Totally.
as you gathered, well, welcome to episode 13 of the Double Feature Podcast. Obviously, it's me, Dan. This isn't Pedro Pascal. Don't worry. And we've got Mister L here.
Yo,
He,
hello, welcome
he's
back.
he just got his basic 2025 get up on.
Yeah.
He's slacking, man. He's slacking. And today is literally a double feature for us because we are covering, well, we're spotlighting
Way.
two movies.
Haha.
Finally, in our second year running, we're now covering
Yes.
two movies.
We're
So we're
now in year
covering,
two, which is crazy. But yeah, so we're
yeah,
covering
we're covering Fantastic Four First Steps from Marvel, and
Superman from DCU.
that's right. So this is the thing because we were literally we because obviously two big films of summer, two big superhero films of
Oh
summer,
yeah.
and we both talked about obviously how they are kind of important films. Fantastic Four, obviously the fourth attempt or whatever to get a good Fantastic Four movie, and it's at the start of Phase 6 for Marvel, and it's kind of like almost like a savior, trying to be a savior for the MCU at the minute. And then you've got Superman, obviously the first of the rebooted DCU with James Gunn at the helm of it all. So there's a lot riding on both of these films. But also for me, I kind of view this again a bit like a sort of Barbenheimer double bill because there's kind of a comparison point because both Superman and Fantastic Four, they are very iconic comic book characters like in the broad pop culture, aren't they?
Yeah,
You
they're
know.
very, very popular, and obviously these are both such big movies, very important for different
Mhm.
reasons. We'll get onto in part two. We couldn't decide.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's that Road to El Dorado movie. It's like both is good.
Both is good.
It literally is. It's literally that. But before we get into that, obviously it's our part one. So we're going to cover some of the recent
Indeed.
movie news and such.
Today, though, I would like to kick off with obviously, we've lost a few people lately, and normally you cover the celebrity passings,
Yeah,
but today I would like to do that.
that's okay.
Um, First of all, on the topic of Fantastic Four, we recently lost Julian McMahon. He played Doctor Doom in the
That's right.
2005 film. Uh,
Mhm.
to date, the best Doom we've had, because we've only had two so far, and I think he was really good. Last movie he did was The Surfer with Nicolas Cage.
The
I
Nick
that
Cage
really
one.
liked him
Yeah,
in that one as well. He was very good. I know that he was interested in coming back for Avengers Doomsday. I know a lot of people were interested in him coming back for Avengers Doomsday. Sadly, not going to happen, but ultimately he's got a good list of movies left behind.
yeah.
Additionally, we
It's a shame
also
because he was quite young, wasn't he? He was only in his like
yeah, he
late 50s,
wasn't.
wasn't? Is that right?
Yeah, he wasn't that old. It was quite
Mhm.
surprising. It was just kind of out of nowhere. But
It's a damn shame. So,
yeah.
but yeah, may he rest in
Next
peace.
up is we lost another person who's been in a few movies. Very famous wrestler Hulk Hogan recently passed away following heart failure after neck surgery, and obviously the WWE wouldn't be what it is without
Yeah,
Hogan. So without Hogan, you wouldn't have WWE. Without WWE, you wouldn't have John Cena. You wouldn't have Dave Bautista. You
exactly.
wouldn't have Dwayne Johnson. Who these other people have gone on to do acting. And obviously Hogan's done his fair share of movies.
Yeah.
Rocky 3 is probably one of the more significant ones that comes to mind. He played Thunder Lips in a charity match against Rocky Balboa at the start of the movie. But obviously wrestling, the WWE in itself, a lot of WWE is acting. I once saw someone describe wrestling
Mhm.
as basically a soap opera with fighting, and that's essentially what
Yes,
it
I've,
is.
I've heard that. Yeah.
But obviously, without Hulk Hogan, he's never been my favorite wrestler, but he is the greatest of all time. Without him, there would be no WWE. WrestleMania was
Yeah,
built for him.
he's been very. I mean, obviously. regardless of what you think of him as a person, there's
Mm,
been a fair share of,
there's been a lot of,
stuff said about him.
yeah.
But regardless of what you think, obviously he has had a massive influence. Even someone like me who isn't a wrestling person, obviously you know who he
Everyone
is.
under the
So
sun knows who Hulk
yeah,
Hogan is.
exactly, yeah. But may he rest in peace. And
Yeah.
the final, I think there's one more.
Yeah, there's
Is there
one
one more that you wanted
more.
to mention?
Uh,
And
s-
it's our Midlands boy, Ozzy.
Ozzy. Oh
Ozzy
man.
Osbourne passed away, which is this is surreal because as he's obviously not my favorite artist ever. For me, obviously the artists I like, Elvis, Bob Dylan, Frankie Valli, Eric Clapton. Those are kind of where I like. Ozzy is not my absolute favorite, but you can't deny, him and also Black Sabbath to an extent, the impact that he's had on metal and rock and roll. He's
Oh
madly
yeah,
influential.
metal
Of
as a
course,
genre just wouldn't exist the way it does without Sabbath and Ozzy. And obviously, Ozzy's done his fair
exactly.
share in cinema as well. He's d been in a few things. He's done voice work for some things.
And of course, you've got in terms of TV, the Osbournes, the reality show that he did in
Yes,
like the early noughties.
yeah,
He basically, he and his family basically invented the reality TV sort of subgenre, kind of. And of course for us as well, the fact that from Birmingham, a fellow Midlander,
yeah.
that's you'd put it best. He's probably the greatest export from the West Midlands that I think the world's seen at the minute.
Probably we've got
Um,
some big shoes to fill, but
we have. They have, but it's insane as well. Obviously, only a few weeks ago he did his final concert in Birmingham,
yeah,
which is like obviously us being around. Which obviously I didn't go to it, but you hear about it and you see how many people there were, and I know some people who went and saw it, and like it was mad. And then of
yeah,
course his funeral and like the sort of the event that was on to not celebrate, but honor him when he passed. Um, it was like Birmingham was like just crowded and like legions of fans just there. It's bonkers, but he's left behind a massive legacy. So
oh yeah,
may he rest
definitely.
in peace.
Anyway,
I do
so
actually have a bit of news though. It's in terms of Birmingham-based talent actually.
okay,
Of course, we lost Ozzy, but it's to do with Bond, and we've got a Brummy writer writing next Bond. So I don't know if you've heard this, but literally yesterday was recording this. Stephen Knight, a Birmingham-based, Midlands-based writer, known for creating Peaky Blinders. He's a very prolific British writer. He is set to write the next Bond film that Denis Villeneuve is directing that we mentioned last time. But yeah,
all
he's
right,
slated to write the next Bond. And as Stephen Knight, he's been very influential in terms of as a Midlands based writer. Kind of fostering talent. Within areas like Birmingham and Coventry and Wolverhampton, that kind of stuff. So it's great to I think that's great. And although I have made jokes about, oh, we're going to get Bond going to like Wolvo and go to like Potworld or something. I hate to break it to you, Bond, but they don't do vodka martinis in Potworld.
no,
So, but as a writer though, I think that's brilliant. I think it's great to have Stephen Knight. I think he's a great choice to write Bond. You know,
yeah.
um,
Um,
as a prolific writer in the country, and also just how talented he is. But also, it's not. It doesn't feel like a sort of commercial choice. It doesn't feel like they're trying to get the big names. It feels right. So I'm really happy to hear that.
yeah. It's part one. Obviously, at time recording, we did the previous episode 2 weekends ago, I believe.
We
So
don't have loads of new
three
news, but we have.
weekends. We got a few things. We got a few
Yeah,
things. The main
yeah.
thing I've got is that I the new Happy Gilmore movie, Happy Gilmore 2, came out
So yeah,
some 29 years after the first one, and it was really
really
enjoyable.
timely.
I really I really liked it. It was just like the old Sandler movies. It was carefree. It was funny. There was a lot of celebrity cameos. Like there was at least 70 of them in this movie. I don't know how he got all these connections in here. But it was
It's Adam Sandler, man. He's got money. He's got
it
connections, man. He has.
was a really fun movie. I really enjoyed it. Obviously I prefer the first one. I think the first one's better in terms
Mhm.
of being a movie, but this one still felt really nice. It felt like a good like it felt like both kind of a celebration of what the first one was and also a bit of a throwback to the kind of older comedy movies that you don't get as often anymore.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. Like I've heard people have had this debate often. It's like like sort of comedy movies and whatnot, like, and that genre. It's kind of like after like the 2000s, it kind of faded out. I think
Yeah.
because because you can blend comedy with so many different things. You can have horror comedies, you can have sci-fi comedies, romantic comedies, of course, comedy dramas, tragic, dark comedy. It can blend with so many different genres, but like pure comedies, I'm thinking like immediately Superbad, stuff like that. It's like we don't really have that as much anymore. It's just I don't know if it's a shame because we still have comedy films, but just with other genres, and I just find it interesting.
I think it is a bit of a shame, 'cause I do like sometimes just putting on a
Mhm.
movie that's just a comedy and doesn't have
Yeah,
any of the genres, and just having something that's just funny start to finish, lighthearted, nothing
I
too
mean,
like taxing to watch or anything.
I was gonna say Dude, Where's My Car, but isn't that kind of like part sci-fi as well?
Oh, I
Is
suppose
it?
in the small extent, yes, it's just
Yeah,
about, but it's mostly a comedy.
a
Like
comedy. Yeah, mostly comedy. Yeah,
it's
but
peak movie.
I still
Um,
haven't seen it yet. I've been looking for it everywhere. I've been looking. I promise I have. I can't
bruh.
find it anywhere.
Additionally, one other movie I wanted to discuss is not a new movie, but following the discussions of last episode, I yesterday sat down and watched Paths of Glory per your
Oh,
recommendation.
I'm
Uh,
really interested to hear what you think of
oh,
this.
it was a watch. There was one
Yeah,
scene near the end involving a firing squad that was very tough watch.
that's the bit that it's the bit
Yeah,
where the one guy he's screaming for his life.
yeah,
That was
that's
horrible.
a tough
It's
watch.
it's brilliant, but it's horrible. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Mhm.
obviously, I don't have too much to add about what the movie's about because we went over this last episode. But overall, I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. It was a pretty good experience watching it. I mean, obviously, it was quite I guess there were kind of the similarities to what I took away from Johnny Got His Gun
Johnny
with
Got His
like
Gun.
the
Yeah.
kind of grittiness of
In
World War
tone,
One
like
and the
very
tone of it.
similar tone, very similar tone. Yeah.
It may well be the oldest
Um,
movie I've seen, actually. That was
really?
57. The only movie I could think possibly I've seen that's older is whatever year the 50s Christmas Carol came out. Not 100% sure.
I want to say that's early 50s. I think
Either that
51.
or Paths of Glory, whichever one came first, is the oldest movie I've seen. But
Have you not seen like Wizard of Oz or It's a Wonderful Life then?
no,
Have you not?
no.
Oh, damn.
No,
So,
I've never seen those.
oh wow, yeah. Because the thing is, like Wizard of Oz, like obviously 1939, that was for the longest time until I got into like silent movies like a few years ago and whatnot. That for the longest time was the oldest film I'd seen by a mile. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm glad you liked it. Obviously, that's your first Kubrick film, Paths of Glory, which is it's an interesting start.
Yes. Do you have
Yeah,
anything for part one here?
I do have just a couple little brief, some films that I'm looking forward to that are coming out. So
I
that I
fire
will
away.
mention. So I might mention this briefly last time, but Bad Guys 2, I'm really looking forward to that. It's
Ah,
finally come
yes.
out now. I'm very looking forward to checking that out. I'm probably going to do next week as we're recording this. Um, yeah, really looking forward to that. DreamWorks sequels generally are very good. And I actually rewatched Wild Robot, which you did as well.
Yes.
But I did rewatch that. But yeah, Bad Guys 2. Really enjoyed the first one, and I think it's very much the next franchise that DreamWorks kind of trying to push. And fair enough, because I love it. I really really enjoy it. So um, you know, I'm looking forward to that. Another film I want to mention quickly. It's coming out in September. It is a directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, starring Leo DiCaprio. One Battle After Another. Don't know if you've heard of
Oh, I
his
saw
film,
the
seen trailers
trailer
for it.
recently. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Paul Thomas Anderson. He's a director who I've never really explored the films of, but he's a very interesting director. He's done some very like in the kind of sort of past 30-ish years. He's been a very interesting director. Done stuff like There Will Be Blood, Punch Drunk Love, Boogie Nights. He's a very out there director in the kind of in a sense. So I want to kind of explore his films, and I'm hoping to check this one out because it looks very interesting, like a sort of kind of an action thriller comedy, I say comedy with other genres and whatnot. Um, but I think it's going to be one that I get along with. So I'm very interested to check that out when it comes out.
Okay.
But yeah, end of September, I think this comes out. So yeah, I'm interested to check. And obviously, original films. I'm always going to champion that as we know. And so those are the films that I wanted to cover. And then we've got a couple of teasers and trailers that have been coming out for some big profile films, which have been coming out kind of before just in cinemas, like exclusively in cinemas, which is quite good, a good incentive to get you into the cinema. Just like in the old days before they were just on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I'm referring to two. Uh, Avatar 3. I'm not really into Avatar, but you know
Nah,
the
me
trailer
neither.
we've seen, but that has been exclusively released in cinemas, and you know James Cameron is very much someone who's adamant on the big screen and whatnot. But more excitingly for me, Chris Nolan's The Odyssey, which obviously is coming
Yes.
out next year, you know. But we've had the teaser for that, and that's the thing, you know. I with Superman and Fantastic Four going to the cinema just to see those trailers, I've been really excited to see them and whatnot, and it just looks really good. And like obviously it looks gorgeous. It's really weird seeing Tom Holland in a Nolan project, but I think he's going to do very well. And I'm just really excited to see what the Odyssey is going to be. You know, obviously this, you know, big historical epic based on the famous, you know, classical poem. Um, I'm just really interested to see what it's going to be like.
It's
I'm really interested.
interesting. It's interesting that he always drops his trailers like a year before the movie comes out
Yeah,
to build up hype. He
because
did
he
it with
did.
Oppenheimer, he like
Oppenheimer. I
exactly a year
remember.
before.
Yeah, exactly. I remember the Oppenheimer trailer coming out and whatnot because it's always he. I don't know. He always releases his films around that sort of mid-July sort of time,
Yeah.
sort of mid to late July. That's always when he releases his films. He did it for Oppenheimer. Tenet a bit different because obviously it was the pandemic,
No, yeah.
but like I know Dunkirk was at that time as well. That was like going back nearly 10 years ago now. But he's always done that, and I think that's even about like you know Inception, the Dark Knight trilogy. I think he's always done that, and I don't know why, but you know, fair enough. It's always something to look forward to every few years.
Dunkirk was like 10 years ago.
Well,
Oh,
like
man.
2017, but like nearly 10 years ago.
Wow, I
That's
didn't
weird.
realize
2017.
that was that long ago. Oh,
Yeah, we're
man.
getting old, man. We're getting old.
Additionally, I forgot I have one more thing. I have one more thing.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Another a movie has been announced a release date August next year. But this is the next step on the Coyote versus Acme storyline we got
Yes,
going on here.
you mentioned this.
This is
There
like
you go, didn't you?
this is one of the good things about part one is within part ones of previous episodes we've had this ongoing story about Coyote versus Acme got canned for tax relief. They bought it back. Another studio's just bought it, and now we've got a release date, August 28th, 2026, which is quite a way out. But
That's a fair bit away.
considering it's a finished movie, that's quite a way out. But and of course it stars our goat John Cena. Uh,
Is it going to
but
be released on Amazon?
and I do not know.
That was so funny. I know it's Warner Bros. It's not Warner. I don't think it is Warner
I
Brothers, is it?
can't
They
remember. I can't
originally.
remember who they sold it to. It was a very lesser known group they sold it that ended up buying it.
It would be so funny if it ended up on Amazon as an original.
But
So funny.
yeah, so we
But I'm
finally
looking
got a
forward to
release
this.
date for Coyote. They
Mhm.
did an interesting press bit where they said it wasn't Warner Bros. Trying to can it; it was Acme, and they're leaning into it as like a marketing thing. Because obviously, I guess the whole point of the movie is Coyote suing Acme for never being able to catch a Roadrunner safely. But
Sure, Warner Brothers, sure. And my
sure,
name's
but
Jason.
but but
You're right there.
yeah, I've had this awful cold since last weekend,
Oh,
yeah, that's about it.
yeah.
Have you got
I
anything
do
else
like
for?
whilst you just cure yourself from dying. I do like how in our part ones we can sort of it's like we did it obviously for Minecraft for a lot of build up from the trailer to the release of the film. You know, I love that we could track that in the part ones, and then with films like The Odyssey, we've been tracking it. Even 28 years later, to a degree, we were kind of tracking it because I mentioned the first teaser for that.
Yeah,
I like being able to track these films, and obviously with Coley versus Acme, you know, we've kind of chronicled that sort of story of how that's come about.
yeah, because it's
I
a
think
very
that's really cool.
interesting story. Because obviously, it's a
Yeah.
case of they didn't want the movie anymore, and the fans managed to bring it back by being so loud about it. And
Yeah.
if this movie does well, that I think it could
Who
change a
knows?
lot about the landscape of the way animation is done and the way that original movies are done. Because see, there's been a lot of like movement to try and like do less original movies, do less regular
Mm.
2D animated stuff or whatever it is
Yeah.
they're trying to do with this one. I haven't seen much of the movie footage
Mhm.
yet, but I mean, the last Looney Tunes movie completely blew over everyone's head. No one, half the people probably didn't even hear about it. That was, I can't even remember what it was called. It came out in about October. It was one with Daffy and Porky Pig and the End of the World or something, and no one really heard about it because they didn't market it.
I very
The day the
vaguely
Earth blew
remember
up, that was it. The day the Earth blew up.
va Vaguely
Yeah, they
remember
they
that
did,
being a
did
thing,
barely
but not.
marketed it and
Yeah.
everything, but it'll be interesting to see how this one does. But have you got anything else for part one?
No, that's it for me.
I have one more thing that's slightly adjacent to
Okay.
movies as we know it, but as we discussed last October, I'm a big fan of Universal's Halloween Horror Nights event,
Yeah.
and this is very closely tied with movies. And last year we got three houses based on intellectual property. We got Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire, we got the Insidious franchise, and we got A Quiet Place. This year we got five coming in. This year we got five houses based on on IP, intellectual property. We got a house based on the Jason Voorhees character and
Friday the 13th, yeah.
All the different Voorhees from all the different versions of Friday the 13th. We got a house based on the Fallout TV show, and also the game kind of as well, but mostly the characters from the show. We got a house based on the Terrifier franchise, which means I am gonna have to sit down and watch these soon. I'm cautious about
I've only seen the first one.
I'm
It's
cautious
really
about the house because there's apparently going to be a lot of water effects and a lot of gore, to the point that
yeah.
there's rumors that there's going to be a dry ending and a wet ending, and you choose which way you go. Uh, oh, you dirty boy! But
I can't help it. What?
man, you changed.
I, I got old. That's what happened.
We've got a house as well coming out that's based on the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, and
Hmm.
they're working with Jim Henson's Creature Shop again to make
All
proper
the animatronics
full-size
and everything.
animatronics.
That's cool. That's
Yeah,
cool.
I'm really looking forward to that. And the last one is based on, as I said earlier, a lot of wrestling is acting, and the last house is based
Hmm.
on a wrestling character called Bray Wyatt. Now, he passed away a couple of years ago, but he always wanted to. He was only 36, but he always wanted to make one
Yeah.
of these Halloween Horror Night houses with his character. Basically, after The Undertaker retired, Bray Wyatt was the horror character of wrestling, and he created this
Yeah.
entire lore and mythos about his characters. And they're doing a house based on not just his work, but the work that's followed afterwards that his brothers continued doing. So I'm quite interested
Oh
to
yeah.
see how this house turns out. But yeah, looking
Oh,
like a
interesting.
strong
Yeah.
lineup this year. I will discuss
Yeah.
when probably
Absolutely
next
report that when you get.
episode. I'll discuss it because
Yeah.
I'm going to Florida between this episode and September episode. So I will be able to report back on what the houses are like. But it's always really
Yeah.
cool seeing them
FYI.
bring everything to life from the movies.
Mhm. That is cool. FYI as well for the audience. We don't actually know what we're doing for the next episode. Like
Yeah,
we
we
don't
got
have
no
a
clue
dead
so
set yet.
far.
We're just gonna we'll do something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
But either way, but that
that
does
wraps
sound
me
really
up.
cool. So definitely like report back on that because that all
Yeah,
sounds. I mean, I know you're all passionate about theme parks and
yeah, I
such.
should be able to get some
Um,
good images from
mm.
the event and
Yeah,
everything. But it's going to be really this year looks like a really really solid lineup, so I'm very
it's a really
excited.
good. Yeah, it does sound really good. But yeah, that's all I've got for part one. That's all you've got. So
Yep.
let's get to our
Part
double
two. Da da
feature.
da da. And now we're on to part two of our show, the double feature podcast. And I'm thinking today we start with the movie that released first, and we talk about Superman.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So obviously, this is the first of the DCU that James Gunn's helming. So it's kind of a clean. Oh, it is a clean slate, really.
Yeah.
Um, and it's obviously setting up the whole new universe. So where should we start with?
Well, I
Where should we
think
start with it?
we'll start as we always do at part two. Spoiler alerts. Click the
Oh yeah,
timestamp, skip to part three if you don't want spoilers for Superman or Fantastic Four. With that out of
you've
the
been
way,
warned.
Superman, directed by James Gunn. So this is yeah, completely clean slate for the DC
Mhm.
universe, and
Yeah.
he's given us a movie about not necessarily Superman's origin, but because obviously
Mhm.
a lot of these superhero movies spend too long on origins. This one we're getting straight into
As
it.
as we also discussed earlier, Superman is one of those like Batman, Spider-Man. He's one of those iconic comic book characters that it transcends the niche of just superheroes and comic books.
Oh yeah, yeah. Everyone knows
Absolutely.
everyone knows about Superman.
I guess to start off with kind of my overall summary of it, of the five James Gunn directed comic book movies, so the Guardians trilogy and the Suicide Squad, This is my least favorite, but I
Yeah,
still
same.
really like it. I
Same, pretty
still really
much.
like it. But that just goes to the quality of his other films. That this is, for me, the weakest superhero film he's done. But I still actually, it's kind of ironic because it arguably, even though it only focuses on one character and not an ensemble, it arguably feels a bit messier than those other films do,
Yeah, because
in
I
my
think,
opinion. I think,
yeah, I mean, I agree with that, and I think it's probably the weakest of his five comic book films, but they're all very
but
good.
not
They're all
not by a
very
lot. It's
good.
not. It's not the weakest by like a long shot. It's only like
Yeah,
a small margin, but I
it's
would call this his weakest though.
I think it at times tries to act like an ensemble film as well, and that's part of what
Yeah.
makes it messy. Don't get me wrong, I do like some of these other characters brought in. I think
Hmm.
Mr. Terrific was way better than I was expecting him to
Yeah.
be. This
I've
version
got
of
to
Green
say,
Lantern isn't
I
awful.
I honestly love Nathan Fillion's Green Lantern because I've never Green Lantern's always been a character that I've always kind of the idea of him has always been kind of cool, but like any the versions that we've seen on screen, you
Oh,
know which
Ryan
one.
Reynolds.
Like it's always been kind of ass, but this one, this guy, he was cool as shit. Nathan
Except for his
Fillion was.
haircut.
Yeah, what the?
The
It's worse
haircut
than
can
this.
go.
Mate, I'm taking pride in this. What the? I've got the Clark Kent curl as well.
Yeah. But yeah, no, except for his
But yeah.
haircut, Green Lantern was pretty all right in this one.
I loved his powers. I loved his powers. I loved his personality. He was dead sarky. I love that.
Yeah.
Um, I think for me, the main problem I have with this film, it's the only real major problem I have, it is to do with the world building, which obviously the whole Justice Gang, and also how quickly we get through the origin. I'm not expecting, we watch Krypton blow up and Superman gets sent to it. I'm not expecting that again. But I think the sort of sudden text of, oh, Superman's been here for 3 years. He's stopped this war with this country 3 months ago. It's like, whoa, hang on, like, just hang on, slow down a second. Just we don't. It's a bit much, like very suddenly at the start of the film.
Yeah.
And I think the whole thing of the Justice Gang, we're kind of like, hang on, how have they kind of fit in with the? It's a bit kind of a bit abrupt. I think for the first film. I think a good comparison point is the first Iron Man. Back in 2008 that kickstarts the MCU. You don't have this you don't have this all of this. It just kind of focuses on Tony Stark, his story first and foremost, and then obviously the post credits into that Nick Fury comes along, and that's when you get the implications of the wider universe. So that's where I
Yeah.
think the film stumbles a little bit. But as a Superman story, I can't fault it really because I think it really its heart is in the right place. It really captures the spirit and the kind of optimism that Superman should, especially after it's been very trendy in a lot of movies, a lot of franchises where everything has to be darker and realistic and gritty,
Yeah.
and I think we're now kind of getting back to the point where people are really craving something a bit lighter and just more fun. And the vibe of this film, the kind of the hopeful spirit, the optimism, the romance of Clark and Lois, it's very earnest and genuine. They've a real love for each other. The love he has for his family, his parents have really wholesome stuff. The aesthetic, it's very colorful film, very vibrant. Really enjoy that. Lex's plan, like he just builds like a pocket universe. It's like very pulpy, comic booky kind of fun stuff, and I love that.
I gotta say the MVP for me in the movie of acting is absolutely Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. I did
Yeah,
not expect him to be as good as he was. I mean,
he
just
was
a few years
fantastic.
ago, like Renfield came out, and that was the first thing I'd seen him in, and I thought he was good in that. And I was
Yeah.
thinking, so they got Renfield playing Luthor now, and wow,
Mhm.
he pulled it off really well. Like
I mean, I would.
the amount of the like aggression he channeled as well into
Mhm.
nearer to the end of the movie, like
Yeah,
bro's a number one hater. He made, built a
yeah. I
whole
mean,
army of monkeys to act as internet trolls. This guy's the
I
biggest
do.
hater we've ever seen.
I do, I do love how kind of it's really funny, really silly in that way. But he is also very. He's a Nicholas Hoult because I always remember him as in the more recent X-Men films as the Beast as well.
Oh yeah, no, I
Yeah,
forgot
I
about
was.
that.
But he's been in others like Mad Max Fury Road. He was in that. He was in the recent Nosferatu, and he was great in that. He's genuinely class actor. And him as Luthor, I didn't expect to be as good as he was, but he was a brilliant villain, like real like love to hate villain. Really like spite driven. You feel you get
Yeah,
when more layers get peeled back, you realize really how spite driven he is. He's a really spiteful character, and that you really hate him. But he's a brilliant, he's absolutely brilliant. I think actually the casting overall is excellent. Like David Corenswet as Superman. Again, I think very much feels like the modern Christopher Reeve, that very idealistic image of Superman. He's got it kind of down to a T, I think.
Yeah.
Um, I think he's great. And then Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane, again, just they're great. The chemistry they have together is great. Just great romance. I just think it's a really rock solid film. It sets out what it tries to do, and I think it just does it really well in that sense.
Yeah, I think it was a pretty good starter for the DCU because obviously we discussed beforehand that that being the first movie of the DCU, this could make or break the entire idea of the DCU if it does badly. But
Yeah,
it's done well at the box office. It's done well critically.
yeah,
So I think the DCU's got a good future. I mean, sure, we still
yeah.
got some Snyder fans out there hating on it, but you know, overall,
Lucky,
no, it hasn't stopped them
yeah,
from going onwards with the DCU. They've still managed to make a really good movie, and hopefully, what comes
exactly,
next is going to continue to be really good as well. Because so far, James Gunn has yet to miss.
exactly. Genuinely, he has. Even though we've said this is his weakest one, I think it's still great. And I think there are some certain elements I just really, really appreciate. Some other elements. So, I say it's like humor is great. I love Crypto. I love Crypto the dog. He's so cute. He's so cute. I just love how earnest Superman is. Like he really does mean well, even when the whole Jor-El's message gets, encrypted and like everyone like turns on him. It's like he never meant any harm. And I love that earnestness, and I love the whole thing with his family. I think it's really sweet. The talk he and his father have, that one bit on the porch, I think
Yeah,
is really sweet. I love it a lot, the sort of stuff with the kind of real world kind of conflict sort of stuff. Obviously, there are things you can read into that, if you're kind of savvy to that sort of stuff. But it was never overbearing. I think ultimately it was meant to be a backdrop for the optimism that Superman
mhm.
has. It's like, it's great, but we obviously don't in the real world. We don't have a Superman, so
Yeah.
I think it's trying to just be like, be better because we don't have Superman to save the world. Like try and, you know,
It's an interesting one because obviously we try not to get too political here, but obviously a lot
yeah,
of backlash has come to the movie of it being, dare I say, quote unquote woke. But
it's not. I
the
hate.
the
I
plot line
cannot. I
with
can.
this movie
Sorry.
with the conflict between Baravia and the other country that
Mhm.
was from the comics back in the late 30s. That's
Yeah,
not something they've written now to appeal to a narrative in modern time. The script was turned in two
mhm.
years ago. The thing
Yeah,
people think it's trying to reflect now wasn't really a thing when they handed the script in.
yeah,
And people were like, "Oh yeah, Superman, immigrant. Oh yeah, he came from Krypton. What do you expect?"
yeah. It's like
No way
obviously,
you didn't
wait, obviously
realize.
that is the subtext, man.
Yeah.
I know writers who use subtext and they're all cowards. It's honestly, honest to God, like it just grinds my like when people are like, "Oh, everything's woke." I cannot
Yeah.
stand woke being used as like a buzzword for everything. It's
I
just like,
mean,
oh,
some movies
God damn it.
do tend to pander to certain things. We know that Disney do
Mhm.
sometimes throw out half-hearted gestures, but
Mhm.
there's absolutely not one of those examples.
Yeah, it's
I think people are looking for criticism where there isn't one to be made in
mhm. I
this
think I think
position.
I think the way I mean, obviously, the kind of parallel to real world conflicts with the whole Gaza thing in this film,
Yeah,
it's probably an accidental thing just because of timings of
yeah,
production. But I think obviously when you're making art, obviously you connect to what's happening in the world around you, and you see that. And even in a genre film like this, I think there is value to what they were doing in it.
Well, I mean, it's like we
Because
discussed with Mickey 17 as well. You can make
yeah,
comparisons with the real world. Sometimes
yeah,
it happens, but
yeah, yeah. Sometimes it's often like because I've realized it when I'm just, slight tangent, but with when I've been like doing creative projects with like uni and film and whatnot, I will often I'm not out there to kind of try and make a point. Often when I'm developing an idea for a story, it will kind of like a theme or a subtext or like a metaphor will just happen naturally.
yeah,
You know, it will happen without me even realizing that I've done it. It will just be a subconscious thing, and a lot of creators will do that.
yeah.
Um, it's just a thing. But I think it was judged perfectly. And I wanted to mention actually that there's one scene that I really loved, and it's kind of the epitome of what the tone of this film is, and I love it. It's the part where Superman has just flown back into Lois's apartment, and you have outside there's like that weird like squid monster, like the very pink and green squid
Yeah.
monster, and the Justice Gang are all fighting it, like in the window in the background. And obviously you have the domestic drama with Clark and Lois, and that kind of juxtaposition, I love. That is the epitome of why I love this film. It's that kind of blend of the out there and the fantasy mixed with the grounded and the human that you can really connect with, and I love that. That scene I've always stuck with me, and I just loved it. Yeah,
Yeah, I knew quite quickly you were going to talk about that scene when
yeah,
you started saying. I was
yeah,
like, oh yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That was the scene that I kind of latched onto. There's always that scene that you will latch onto in a film. For me, this in Superman, that was that scene. But yeah, overall, I'd rate it an 8 out of 10.
I mean, for me, the scene that
Um,
latched onto me was the Peacemaker
well, sorry.
cameo.
I love, isn't it? I think it is that scene as well, isn't it? Isn't
Yeah.
it that bit as
I
well?
think it is, yeah,
I
but seeing the
I did love
Peacemaker
that.
cameo out of
That
nowhere
was
was
brilliant.
that,
That was
yeah.
brilliant.
Can't wait
That
for
was
season
brilliant.
two of that. That's coming out soon. I think that's
Yeah,
sometime this month. I think
I think so.
season
Yeah.
two is canon to the DCU, but season one wasn't. I'm not 100%
Mhm.
sure. Because there's that weird kind of treading ground here between the Suicide Squad and then the DCU, because that was also
Yeah.
James Gunn.
It's an odd sort of like
We'll have to see what
I don't
season
know.
two does of Peacemaker, but I think season two is canon, but season one isn't DCU.
Yeah.
But yeah, the
Whatever it is, hopefully it's
Peacemaker
good.
cameo was fun to me.
That's
But yeah, I
class.
would give it a
That's
solid
class.
7 or 8 out of 10. It was a
Hmm.
very fun film. Very
Yeah.
very refreshing. Obviously, I loved a lot of the acting in it.
Mhm.
James Gunn is just he's
Yeah.
got to be one of my favorite directors. Like all his
Yeah.
movies are good, even the ones that aren't comic book movies. Some of his other movies have been really good as well. I mean, don't forget he had a hand in one of the Scooby-Doo movies.
He did, didn't he? Yeah.
Scooby-Doo
That's
2, I
insane.
think.
That's an insane fact of life, that is.
It's
But no, no, I really enjoyed Superman. As I said, my only faults with it were some of the world building stuff felt a bit messy, and then just certain
yeah,
elements did feel a bit messy. But I think it overall, it's like its heart was in the right place. I love the vibe. I love the fun aesthetic of it. I loved, a lot of the storytelling. It felt very well judged and whatnot. And overall, it was just a really good time. And I think the highs were very high, so
yes.
it was very very fun. You know,
So onto
so
another movie now that also has a very nice aesthetic, and we're going to talk about
oh
Fantastic Four with
oh
its very
yes.
retro futuristic 50s ideology of what
Yeah, like
they
16.
thought the
Yeah,
future was going to look like and everything. It's got
yeah,
that. I
1960.
love
Yeah,
that retro future kind of
I adore it. I
vibe.
mean, bro, this is
Yeah.
me we're talking about. I mean, I, I, I should say as well. I've actually watched Fantastic Four twice now.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I rewatched it last night with my friend as well.
Uh,
But
that's a stretch. Was there a friend or
that
was
was
she some kind of invisible woman?
that's amazing.
Here's the thing. You're
It's
getting
glamour in time.
scolded here.
No,
I thought
I
it was
am
pretty fantastic.
I was flaming because I'm Johnny Storm. Anyway, let's talk about the
Say
movie
that
now.
again.
It's glamour in time. What's that, ladies?
Ayo.
Right. Okay. Fantastic Four. First
So
steps.
yes, you watched
First of
it
all,
twice.
I want to say great title. First steps. Obviously links to it's the first of the Fantastic Four in the MCU. A bit of a reset. Obviously, the first time in this, alternate universe, and also the whole, baby storyline. I think that's just a really great title. You know,
My favorite part was when the baby got up and took a step, and then another step, and then another step, and then another step, and then the thing said, "Wow, those were some fantastic four first steps."
this man is 40 years old with a sense of humor.
What do you mean?
You've got a dad joke sense of humor. You've
And then
literally got a dad.
and then Mr. Fantastic said, "Say that again." Oh man, no,
That's
I
better than
that was like one of the first
I
things I
will
said
sue
when I
you.
walked out of the movie. Is I turned to my dad and I said, "I like the part where he took the four steps and the thing said those were some fantastic four first steps."
And your dad went, "You're a disappointment."
Yeah, he didn't like the joke.
Oh.
He was
So let's talk
disappointed.
about. Can we talk about the movie actually, not just like this imaginary thing we've come up with?
Okay, okay, I'll shut up now.
Okay, let's calm down. Let's settle down. Um, but obviously, Fantastic Four. It's set in an alternate universe, Earth
Yes.
8 something I can't remember, but an alternate one to the normal Marvel universe that we've had. So that's why we've got the retro future aesthetic, which I loved. But obviously, it's about Fantastic Four. It kind of sets up their origins of how they got their powers from a space voyage. They've become kind of beacons of hope for this world. You know, they've really cemented themselves as the kind of saviors of this world. And Reed Richards and Sue Storm, they're having a kid, Mr. Baby Franklin. But that's when the Silver Surfer comes rocking up, and she's like, "Yo, your planet's marked for death if you don't give us the kid." Because Galactus, big space god bloke, wants to destroy the planet and take the baby because to carry on his legacy.
That's
I've
one way of
realised just
summing
how
it up.
I just realised how rambling and stoner that sounded. It really was. Yeah. That's the thing is that it's like obviously it's a it's very comic booky, a bit like Superman as well. It's very vibrant, very comic booky kind of vibe. You know, it has that fun, pulpy sort of vibe. But again, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed having that again. It's refreshing as opposed to just having these kind of grounded, sort of gritty films that just take the fun out of it. I think you can embrace these kind of sillier elements of it.
Yeah, I mean, Fantastic Four 2015 was like the epitome of the trying to be really dark and gritty,
Yeah,
and nobody seems to like that film. That's like
I've never seen it, and I don't like it.
I've seen it twice. I saw it when it came
How have you
out.
seen it
I saw
twice?
it when it came out at the cinema, and I said it was bad. And then I saw it a couple of years ago. I think was it at the bottom of my first ranking video I did of every.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, so I think in 2022 I did a ranking video of every movie I watched, and it was
Yeah,
dead last,
probably, yeah.
completely bottom.
I've never seen it and I already hate it. But yeah,
It's
this one,
yeah.
but this film, yeah, like genuinely, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. As a, it's not a overly complicated premise and whatnot, again, but I think it's done well. I think the whole world building, because obviously it's a slightly different universe. I think the way they do the world building with showing the kind of montage of the how the four got their powers and whatnot. I think that was well done. You know, the kind of like
Oh
retro
yeah, I
sort of
mean that was better
newsreels. I
than
love that.
say like making the
The
whole
wall of
movie
text.
about the origin like the other movies did. It was nice just to
Yeah,
have the kind of here's how they got their
yeah,
origins, do a nice little feature with it, and
yeah.
there were a lot of
Like it
little
wasn't.
things that were nice about it. Like you had like the little
Mhm.
Fantastic Four cartoon show was on as
Yeah, that
well,
was
and
nice.
everyone wanted the thing to say it's clobbering time.
It's only in the cartoons. No, I also, yeah, I like the little talk show with the Ted Gilbert. I like
Yeah.
that. And also as well as a Doctor Who and League of Gentlemen fan, that's Mark Gatiss. And it was just cool seeing him in like just a big franchise movie like that.
It was nice to
But no,
see the kind of more obscure Fantastic Four villains kind of turning up, like Mole Man. Because
yeah.
I've got
Hmm.
somewhere over there in my stack of DVDs, I've got the old 60s cartoon of Fantastic Four on a bunch of
Really?
DVDs. Yeah, I'll see if I can find it in between part two and three. Well, in between, I'll see if I can
Yeah.
find them. But yeah, it was nice to see some of these old villains that like, 'cause the
Yeah.
first villain they ever fought in the cartoon, and I think in the comics was Mole Man, and that
Hmm.
was like their debut villain, and
It's like it's a silly villain, but like
it's a
it
silly
works, I
villain, but
think.
back in those times, a lot of villains were silly. Batman gave us King Tut as a villain, so they had a
Yeah.
lot of
Or
random
Egghead.
ones. An Egghead, yeah, yeah, it had a lot of characters that like were just villain of the week, and and they didn't
Yeah.
have to be great, and so it was quite fun to see those characters. And
Yeah.
I quite the guy who played Mole Man, Paul Walter Hauser. I've liked quite a few of the different things he's been in.
Hmm.
He was in. I told you about a movie about the luckiest man in America, about a guy on a game
Yeah.
show. He was in that. He was in Cobra Kai. He's been in a few things I've liked, and
Wait, he was in Inside Out 2 as well,
yes,
apparently.
yeah, he was. Oh,
Embarrassment.
embarrassment.
Oh,
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah, he was
I genuinely
embarrassment.
didn't know that. Fair
But
enough.
yeah, I like that they brought in more of the obscure villains. I like that this time it wasn't just like, oh, we're
Mhm.
doing a new Fantastic Four movie, let's make the main villain Doom immediately.
Yeah. I
Uh,
liked having Galactus there.
I
That
like
was
that
kind of fun.
Galactus wasn't a cloud this time.
Yeah, that was good.
That was nice that he
Ralph,
was
Ralph,
Finchy from The Office instead. But
yeah, Ralph Ineson. Yeah, it would be really funny if he'd kept his Yorkshire accent because Ralph Ineson has like a very thick York. Like, give me a babby or I'll bloody eat your planet. No, can, can we see a cut of the film where he just,
Northerner Galactus.
when he says that clever little bugs? I was opening. clever little bastard, you. So they should have done that instead. But he was good. He wasn't like a spectacular villain. Like he wasn't like going to change the world. He was going to destroy the world. But it was simple, but like he worked. I think I like that clever little bugs. Like it just added that little bit of personality. I think.
Yeah.
Um, I think his personality, even though it was all like a lot of CGI, I think he very much shone through, which was good to see.
Yeah.
And you also have Silver Surfer, the Shah Bal version, which I know is a version from I think one of the '90s comics,
It was
like the female
interesting, but
version.
they wanted to go with the alternate version of Silver Surfer and do the storyline
Hmm.
of Johnny and Surfer instead
Yeah,
of, oh, let's use the one that we did back in the second movie
yeah.
before. It
I
was
think it.
interesting to
I
go for a
think it
different
works.
one.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
it
it works.
works.
I think her and Johnny's kind of the sort of story they have together and the kind of conflict. I think that's very compelling. Because obviously there's a lot of jokes of like Johnny fancies the naked space lady and whatnot. It's funny. It's funny at first, but then you realize the kind of how smart he actually is and how he's clocked onto what she's doing. I think that when he pulls the rug under from her and then broadcasts her translated language, I think it's great. I think it's really great stuff.
I think it says a lot for
Um,
Johnny's character that he was able to decipher an entire language by himself. Because
mhm.
normally, like, you just say, oh, yeah, Miss Fantastic is a smart one. It was quite an
Yeah.
interesting decision to go with on this one. Because obviously, Human Torch in the 2000s movies was more like your
Chris
average
Evans.
kind of jock character. Yeah, it was Chris
Yeah.
Evans. He was more like your average popular boy, a
Hmm.
little bit rough around the edge, a little bit. But obviously, this Johnny's quite different. It was quite interesting to
I
see
think they sort of,
different
I
universe,
think they,
different
s-
take on it.
I think they definitely set him up as that initially. It's very much he's the young handsome one.
Yeah,
He's kind of good looking. He fancies ladies, but then you realize like his kind of hidden intelligence, and I think that's great to see when it finally kind of pays off near the end. I think that's really, really great. In fact, talking about the Fantastic Four as casting and whatnot, Joe Quinn I thought was great as Johnny, but Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, I think he was perfect. I really do.
I thought he was pretty good. I was one of the people who was hoping that they would continue on with John Krasinski after Multiverse of Madness.
Hmm.
Because I feel like,
Understandable.
despite the fact that his script in Multiverse of Madness wasn't the best, I thought he fit the role well. So when they were saying,
Fair.
"Oh, who are they going to cast?" I thought they were going to go with Krasinski and Blunt as
Mhm.
Mr. and Mrs.
That
But
would have been cool.
but
Um, I
I
I
feel
think for
like the
me though,
original one wasn't terrible, the one from 2000s, but Pedro's definitely a step
mhm,
up from him. 2015, bottom of the barrel. But
yeah, I think for me though, I think I prefer Pedro as Reed Richards. I think his kind of like sort of scientist. He's very calculating, very anxious, but he can come across as cold and
yeah,
not kind of connecting. But he's very on edge a lot of the time. But he does mean well. I think that does shine through. Um,
yeah,
I think it's really compelling. I think he plays it perfectly. And then you got Sue Storm, played by Vanessa Kirby, who I think again great casting. I loved what she brought to the table. I love the fact that she was like Reed was more about the science and whatnot, but she was kind of focused on more like politics and the kind of public speaking. I think that was kind of cool to see.
yeah,
And it paid off when she kind of reassured the world when Franklin when she introduced them all to Franklin. I thought that was really good stuff. Um, and then the thing, I think he was also great. He was very fun. It was very sweet, his kind of obviously the kind of he's obviously scared of how he looks because of the mutation and whatnot. And there's the lady he likes there, and I like the little scenes there. What I think is that there's so much great potential here. I would have maybe liked a little bit more of it, but it's never anything that the film does wrong. Unlike Superman, where some of it is a bit messy and a bit kind of you know, I think this does play it safe, but I think add maybe a few more scenes with them, or maybe a few more scenes with like Shia LaBeouf's backstory, maybe, because it's a tragic backstory, and I think it's very effective, but could have been a bit more so. But
mm,
yeah, I think it's great stuff. I think great casting, great characterization, and the drama as well. Like I love the stuff with Reed and Sue, their baby. I could have honestly watched a film of just them. It's almost like a sort of slice of life, just but in this kind of retro future world with their superpowers. I could just watch a film of that because I was loving that first like act where it was no villains or anything. It was just them kind of working through how to be parents and whatnot. I just loved all that sort of the sort of domestic stuff. I loved it.
yeah. I think it was a really nice film. I really enjoyed it. I think going back just quickly to The Thing.
Yeah.
Thing's an interesting one because I think in the original ones, they did kind of go over the fact that he was very uncomfortable with the fact of how he'd changed, how he'd looked, and everything because of the rocks and
Yeah,
everything. I can't say I remember much from the character in the 2015 one, but he was just very big and imposing and everything. That one they really kind of amplified that. This one
yeah,
they've gone for the more kind of original comic accurate style look, especially with like the way
Mhm.
his eyebrows are and everything.
Yeah.
And at first, I wasn't sure about that, but it grew on me, and I like the way he's
I think it.
characterized in this one, and that he's not
Mhm.
doesn't seem necessarily as much of like a big brute as he did in the 2015 one. He seemed a lot more accepting of himself and the way he is than like the 2000s one. It's kind of interesting seeing the thing in like a different light here.
Yeah, I do really like the shot of him because you're right. He does kind of feel more comfortable in himself. You do have those
He
moments
acts
that,
more like as if he's just another person, rather
yeah,
than I mean, except for when he then just lifts a car for a bunch of kids because
yeah,
they wanted to see it. But no
yeah.
one I really kind of treats him differently for the fact that he's a
No,
giant rock monster.
which is it is nice though to have that. But I do really love it's that shot of he's watching the TV of his old self, and then the TV switches off, and then you see in the reflection, his
Yeah,
thing sort of kind of mutation and whatnot. And I think that's a really again another great little shot there. Um, but yeah, overall, yeah, all the character stuff's great. I love all that drama. It's the bit where going back to like Sue and Reed, it's the bit where he obviously is trying to think of a way to stop Galactus, and he's going to use Franklin as bait, and nobody wants to do that. And he's like, "That's the way I think," and then Sue's like, "Well, that can hurt people," and he's like, "I don't mean to." That's like, damn. It's like, yeah,
yeah,
that's what kind of comes through. It's like he means well, but sometimes you have to think of the worst, which is it's a shame, but like that's sometimes how it has to be. But I really love that part.
yeah. I mean, someone's got to think of the worst case scenarios
Yeah.
and try and stop them from happening. There's a lot of people who are very massively overthinkers and everything. Will try and plan everything for every possibility. But so I get that.
He's literally me.
Okay,
In some
can you
sense, yeah,
stretch your arm all the way across the room then? Can you no go further?
whoa,
You go further.
whoa, whoa, it's off camera.
I thought it was quite funny. There was one scene where Galactus picked up Miss Fantastic, started stretching him, and I really thought he
Yeah.
was just gonna clang him and let him fly.
That would have been
It
funny.
was so big they just had him fly like halfway across the world.
You know, when you're in like class and you're like playing with like rubber bands and whatnot, you
Yeah.
just like make like slingshots out of them, just like that'd have been funny. Um, but yeah, the one more main thing I wanted to mention, I think we've briefly touched on it, but it's the retro future aesthetic and whatnot. Because I don't know if this is set in the 1960s, but or just set in 2025, but in the alternate universe where everything kind of stopped at the 1960s and that was kind of the norm. But either way, I love that style. I love obviously that style anyway, but seeing it in a Marvel movie, very refreshing and really did allow for the kind of comic booky, pulpy 60s feel. I love all that sort of stuff. I love the kind of the gadgets and the sort of monitors, and I love all that sort of sciencey science fiction sort of stuff. But what I really loved, and this is kind of my own reading, so I don't know if this was intentional, but with it being set in the 60s and this kind of event of Galactus coming to destroy the world and whatnot, and the warning from Silver Surfer, it sparks this paranoia amongst the public and whatnot. People are terrified. They're building all the teleportation sort of grids. They're evacuating the city and whatnot. It feels very, to me, very reminiscent of this sort of a lot of the 60s paranoia in the Cold War, especially like Cuban Missile Crisis. You're
Yeah.
aware of that.
Oh yeah.
It was giving me that kind of vibe, just the way that they did that. I think the 60s vibe and aesthetic allowed for that. But even stuff like the winter, it feels very cold and people running in the streets, when the thing's out. And I think so many little things just adds that atmosphere. It's very cold. It's desolate. It's very eerie. Everyone's on edge and kind of paranoid of what's going to happen. This kind of fear. I think it's captured really well. And as I say, I don't know if that was intentional. I don't know if that's just me reading into it because I'm sad. But but that's just what I took away from it. And I really, I like that. If that was intentional. But
Overall,
yeah, I think
then,
that's
overall, how do you rate
that's
this
fine.
movie and higher or lower than Superman?
I'd also rate it an eight. They're very similar. Yeah, they are very similar quality. What I will say, I would probably say Superman had the higher highs, But as a film overall, I enjoyed Fantastic Four a smidge more.
That's fair. That's
Hmm.
I'd probably say the same thing.
Really?
7 or 8.
Yeah.
Superman had some more outstanding moments, but Fantastic Four
Yeah.
overall was better across the board.
Yeah. I
So
think
yeah,
also as
pretty
well,
much.
Superman. I think Superman had a couple more flaws that. Yeah, that's the thing. Fantastic Four. I don't really think it had any major flaws. As like maybe I don't know, the odd bit of CGI was a bit ropey at points.
Mm,
It's quite ambitious in that way, but I think that doesn't really ruin it for me.
yeah.
Like stuff with stuff with like the baby. Obviously, they're not going to get a newborn, but you can tell it's CGI. But that didn't really affect it for me. I think overall, I don't think Fantastic Four has many flaws. It's just I think it had a bit more potential to be even better, you know. But it's
Yeah.
honestly some of the most fun I've had with a Marvel film in a while.
Yeah.
Like this is really reminiscent of the stuff from like Phase 2 and 3, that kind of peak Marvel where I just loved and enjoyed so much of what they put out. The likes of, I'm thinking of the likes of the Guardians films, Thor Ragnarok, Infinity War Endgame, um, the Captain America films, and Civil War and whatnot. Even stuff like I even enjoyed stuff like Doctor Strange and like the Ant-Man movies. They weren't perfect, but I enjoyed so many of them, and this kind of brought me back to that a bit like Thunderbolts actually.
God, I saw a clip of the end of the final battle of Endgame this morning. I was like, oh, that was
Yeah,
so peak. That was
that was
so top tier.
it. It
Oh
was
man. But I think we are actually getting a bit better with the superhero movies now. So we've had
maybe.
Superman, we've had Thunderbolts, we've had Fantastic Four, we're getting some
Yeah.
good ones now. I think it's coming back up a
Like,
little bit.
I don't think we'll ever reach the heights that we did in the 2010s. I very much think comic book films and superhero films have gone the way of the Western. Westerns in the 50s and 60s, very popular, but they very much, the sort of trend of the Western films went off. But we still get some great Westerns, in the years since. I think the same for superhero films. I think it will never be the billion-dollar juggernauts that like Infinity War Endgame were. It's never gonna, you know,
It's interesting.
get up to that
I
again.
think it could at some point. I mean, whether it's with Doomsday or whether it's say 20, 30 years down the line it gets a revival.
Mhm.
I'm
Maybe.
not
Mhm.
counting it. I'm not counting the genre out yet. I think it's very much
Mhm.
still has the potential to have a lot of life as it did before.
Maybe.
But well, only
I think
time will
it's a,
tell.
no, no. I think we're definitely getting out of the phase of sort of you know, sloppy superhero films. 'Cause
Yeah.
the early 20s, like it's been a drought for superhero films. It really has.
Yeah, Sony
It's
did us
this
no
era.
favors.
They did. I don't think anyone was doing
So
anyone any
Sony did
favors, but
no favors, but at least Marvel put out the occasional gem like Guardians 3 and whatever.
yeah.
No Way Home was pretty decent as well, but
Hmm.
Sony did us no favors.
They really didn't. But I think for me, I do. I think you look at like the trend of in the 2010s, the superhero films. They that was the cultural trend of that decade in terms of cinema. I don't think we're going to relive that, but I do think we are definitely out of that drought. I do definitely think that.
Yeah, I mean, if
Um,
I'd say except for Captain America: Brave New World, all the other superhero movies this year have been really, really
mhm.
top-notch stuff.
I would say yeah, Brave New World has felt almost. I haven't seen it yet, but I've seen bits and bobs from it. It does kind of have a vibe of the sort of. It's sort of like the leftovers from that
Yeah,
era
it felt
of
like it should have
the
come out
early
last year.
20s. Yeah, or like 2023 or four. You know.
Yeah,
Um,
but
but yeah,
yeah,
so that's
good
so yeah.
movies.
Overall, Fantastic Four, Superman, but both very, very good. Um, yeah,
Wonderful.
they would both come very high on my ranking of all the films we covered.
Yeah, I thought Superman was super, and I thought Fantastic Four was fantastic.
To me,
Alrighty, on to part three. And just before we start part three, I did actually find my old 1994 series of Fantastic Four DVDs. A brilliant scientist, his best friend, the woman he loves, and her fiery-tempered kid brother. Together they brave the unknown terrors of outer space, were bombarded by cosmic rays, and transformed with superhuman powers. Mr. Fantastic, the Thing, the
whoa,
Invisible Woman, the
whoa,
Human Torch, also known
climax,
as the Fantastic Four. Yes, I found
amazing.
them.
Amazing, amazing.
It was cool to find these again. Uh, that one goes there. Boom. But yes, this is the first two seasons of the old 1994 animated series across four DVDs. And yes, I used to watch these loads when I was younger. I was like the Fantastic Four. So it's nice that we got a really solid Fantastic Four movie now. But on to part three, and part three this time on the topic of superheroes. We're going to be discussing superhero movies, but we're ruling out anything that's been in the MCU and anything that's been in the Snyderverse DC universe.
DCEU, yeah.
Yeah. So who's going to go first?
Um, you go first. You go
Okay, but
first.
first of all, we think we know what some of our other guesses are. So I
We
say
have
let's
a
put
hunch.
out our guesses now and we'll see what happens. Don't reveal if it's correct. Let's just
Yeah.
lay it out now. So
Okay.
first of all, I'm going to drop some guesses on what I think you've gone for.
Okay.
And so don't tell me if they're right yet, but here's what I think. I've got two guesses. One of
Right.
which I think you may talk about is an Oscar-nominated film, starring Michael Keaton. I
Right.
think Birdman might come up. Uh,
I'm not. I'm not.
secondly,
I'm not saying am I?
Secondly, an animated one, the
Yeah.
Fantastic Four before a good Fantastic Four. I think The Incredibles might come up. And that's all I've got to say. I've got no guesses on the third one.
Okay. So for yours, I know for a fact that Nick Cage's Ghost Rider is going to be there. I know for a fact you're going to talk about that one. You also mentioned a familiar director. I have a hunch you're going to talk about a Del Toro film. I'm thinking either Hellboy, either one of the Hellboy movies, or Blade Two. I don't know, but I'm thinking more Hellboy, possibly, because you mentioned familiar directors.
Interesting. Let's see
And
how
the and the
see
other
how
and
it
the
pans
third
out.
one, the third one I don't know. So
Yeah, we've both got one that we've got no clues on. But
yeah,
anyway, so I'll kick off.
yeah, you
Uh
kick off.
I am going to kick off with we'll go for the one that you've got no clue on. We're
Okay.
gonna start with a movie. It's an old movie. It's from the 1960s,
Oh,
and it stars Adam West.
it's Batman! It's
It's
Batman!
Batman, 60s Batman,
Oh, what
and
a great pick!
yeah, the 1960s Batman film. I'm such a great. Hang on, one sec. I think I've got the DVDs. Wait, one moment.
Oh, oh, this is like, oh man, this is just what a great pick, Batman '66. What a great pick that is. Yeah, he's found his old Batman DVDs, hasn't he? I don't think I've actually seen the that film. I don't think I've seen the Batman film in entirely, but I've seen obviously the clips of it. You know, the the shark repellent bat spray. Is he? Where's he gone? Where was he gone? Did you find it? Did you find it?
Na 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 na
Batman!
Batman.
Yes!
The entire TV series
God
in one
damn.
box set. I think I
Oh,
only ever got two seasons through it, though. I don't think I got onto the third one, or at least if I did, not very far. But the entire three seasons of the Batman 60s show,
that's
Adam West
amazing.
and Burt Ward, and the 60s movie is such a classic. It's so
It's class.
funny. It's
Yeah.
it's completely unlike all the other Batman films where he's
It's
supposed to be a
so
serious character. It's so
it's so
goofy and
pulpy and
comical.
yeah.
And obviously, it gave us such absolute classics as like the Bat Shark repellent
Yeah,
actually
the
having
shark
a
repellent
use.
bat spraying.
And I love this one scene where he's trying to dispose of like this really basic like cartoon bomb, and it's just like the big black sphere
Yeah,
with the
some
fuse
days
and
just can't
everything.
get rid of a
And
bomb.
he's just running around trying to get rid of this bomb, and he runs into the marching band, he runs into some nuns, he tries to throw in the water, and there's a couple on a boat. It's just so
I love
funny.
it. I
And
love it.
obviously
I don't think I've seen the '66 film all the way through. I've always seen the bits of it, you know, that everyone's seen and whatnot. But I
oh,
have
it's
seen
fun.
quite a few of quite a bit of the TV show and whatnot. This is from like when I was very young and whatnot,
And
so I'm
we
very
does the
nostalgic.
dance as well, you know.
Yeah, the Batman. Yeah, it's amazing. I'm very nostalgic to this, the '60s Batman show. Everyone loves Adam West. It's just like you can't. it's one of those like people shit on like Batman and Robin for how cheesy it is, but the Adam West stuff, nobody can hate it. Like it's so
It's
pure-hearted
so
and so
fun.
it's so well intentioned. Like you just can't hate it. It's just silly and goofy and fun.
And then you've got the pretty good cast of villains as well. You've got Cesar Romero's Joker.
Yeah.
You've got
Is it Burgess Meredith
Burgess
as
Meredith as
Penguin?
Penguin. I think it was Julie Newmar's Catwoman. Is that right?
I think in the film it's it says here Lee Merriweather. I think in the show it's Julie Newmar, but I think
Ah,
in the film
yeah, they changed it. And then yeah, you had the
yeah,
Riddler as well, I believe. So
that's
you had a
yeah.
proper classic lineup of villains
Yeah,
there. It was such a
it's
fun
great.
film.
It's great.
It's got so many great gags and everything. It's so dissimilar to Batman in every other
Yeah.
way.
Like you
But
put that next to like the Dark Knight, it's chalk and cheese.
but I thought it'd be really fun to bring up 60s Batman because A,
Yeah.
when else are we gonna get to bring up 60s Batman? Uh, and B, it's
Goes.
such a fun film, and most people probably haven't seen it anymore because most it's such an old film. It's not the easiest to get your hands on, but it's such a
Yeah.
fun film. It's I thought we'd just start with a really light one.
Okay, then on that sort of topic, I'm going to bring up another kind of more fun. It's a bit more recent. It's from the early 90s, 1991. It's the one that you haven't guessed.
Okay.
This is The Rocketeer. I don't know if you've heard of this one.
No.
This is not Marvel or DC. It's based in a comic book series and whatnot, but it's set in like the 1930s, kind of that sort of old timey, sort of like Great Depression kind of romantic sort of era and whatnot. But yeah, it's about this stunt pilot who has this jetpack that obviously gives him the ability to fly, and these evil forces they want the jetpack as well. But yeah, it's based on an old kind of comic book series and whatnot, and they adapted it into a film in 1991. Joe Johnston, he directed it, who also directed the first Avenger, Captain America film.
Oh
So
yeah.
obviously the kind of tone of that film, it's very kind of rollicking adventure kind of film, a bit almost Steven Spielberg-esque. That's the kind of thing you get with the Rocketeer. Very classic feeling, pulpy, fun, adventure yarn. With the romantic lead and he's got to save the girl, and he's got the mentor figure which Alan Arkin plays, and I also love that the villain in this is Timothy Dalton, obviously Bond and whatnot. But this was around when he did Bond. Actually, this is not long after. But he plays like this sort of like a snobby film actor, kind of like a sort of old timey sort of Errol Flynn type actor who's in league with these like gangsters and whatnot. And it's just very fun. There's the whole climax on the blimp, and it's really fun. Yeah, just a really generally entertaining film. CGI obviously is a bit ropey, but it's the early 90s, so you can give it a pass. And it's not like the deepest film in the world, but I thought it was one that's a bit under the radar, and I think it's one that you can enjoy. And it's just one I kind of wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you've heard of. You not heard of this one?
No, I hadn't heard of this one before.
It is quite an obscure one, to be fair, but that's why I wanted to bring it up, because it's quite a fun one, and yeah, it's just I thought it's something that's not Marvel or DC, But
Yeah.
but yeah, so yeah, there's not really a lot to say about them, but yeah, so but going back to you, what's your
Okay, so next I am gonna get your the director clue out the way.
right?
So we're talking about a familiar director, a director that we talked about not very long ago. We're talking about James Gunn, and it's not a Marvel or DC movie. It is in the
What?
superhero genre, but it's actually something of a horror. We're talking about a movie called Brightburn.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've heard of it. I didn't wait. Did he write it? What was he on it then?
He was definitely involved in it. He was definitely involved in it.
I know this film. I don't genuinely. Oh, he's like a producer on it.
Yeah.
Oh, because this is like the evil Superman film. That's like
Yeah,
the
it's
premise of this, isn't
essentially
it?
the idea of what if Superman came to Earth and was a bad guy. And so you've got this you've got like this I think like at this point maybe like pre-teenish, I don't remember how old the kid was, but
Mhm.
this young kid who starts kind of learning about his powers and everything, and it's kind of framed as a horror movie, and he starts going on kind of he starts kind of like how like sometimes misunderstood kids can lash out, except he's got
Yeah,
powers and he lashes out and he kill some people, as you do. But
Yeah,
as you do.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, it's just I thought it was quite an interesting film to bring up because it's a lot darker than normal James Gunn films. So it was quite
Mhm.
interesting that he worked on this film, and it's another film that he's been involved in that's also been, I think, very good. Another film that hasn't missed, and it's just quite interesting to get that alternate perspective of the same kind of origin story of Superman of landing on Earth as a baby
Yeah.
but having like different upbringing, different environment, and everything, and that makes him not Superman.
It was
But
like a darker version of Megamind.
yeah, Megamind's the in between.
Yeah,
Superman is the all good, Brightburn's the all middle. Megamind is the I landed here, started bad, became good.
yeah. I kind of wish I spotlighted Megamind now, but I didn't.
I can't believe I didn't. I don't know how I forgot.
We should have
How
done.
did we not talk about Megamind?
That's such a slam dunk.
Oh, peak film, peak film. But
But either way, but no, I've heard of Brightburn. I didn't. Yeah, I didn't realize that James Gunn was involved in it though.
But yeah, it's something of a horror movie as well in the way that's portrayed.
Mhm.
It's definitely worth a watch, but I thought it was one that you might not have picked. But at
Yeah,
the same
definitely.
time, I thought it was quite a bit under the radar. It might have actually been one that you did pick, so I was a little worried
Yeah.
on that one. But
Nah.
I think we're
Yeah.
good. I think we're not going to have another Minority Report situation. I
We're not.
think we're
We're
good.
definitely not.
I
We're
think
definitely
we're
not.
good.
Yeah, we're good. I will go next then.
Yep, back to you.
So I will confirm the one that you guessed was Birdman. You guessed that.
Hey.
Like a sort of you guessed it as like an awards contender. Obviously stars Michael Keaton. You'd be correct. That was the one I was going to
Yeah, I
spotlight.
thought so. I thought it was the
What made
kind of
you
film
think?
you'd
What made you
mention, and
think
then the
that?
clue you said earlier, it get kind of
Yeah.
solidified my standing on it.
So Birdman. Okay, technically it's not really a superhero film. It is more of like a drama, but it has a superhero element baked into the film. Because basically,
Yeah,
it stars Michael Keaton as this like sort of washed up actor who was most well known for years ago playing this superhero character of Birdman, and the film is about him taking on a role in a Broadway play. Now, obviously, there is a kind of meta thing of casting Michael Keaton as that character, who is most well known for playing Batman, of course, in the 80s and 90s films. So there is that meta angle, but yeah, the film is very much a character study on this bloke who is washed up. He's trying to do this play just to kind of get him relevant again, and really, he's kind of a pitiful character, and it's this kind of the he's just fading away, really. But I think it's a really compelling drama. Michael Keaton's fantastic. You also got some great actors in it, like Emma Stone plays his daughter. They have some great kind of clashing in scenes together. I love Ed Norton. He plays like this pretentious actor, which just feels like he's playing himself. Um, but he was very good in it. Um, and the film's also done. It's one of the films that it's shot as if it were one take. It does
huh.
that trick. So something like 1917. There's a few films that have done it, but this one does it all the way through. And I think it's very interesting how they do that. And the effect obviously looks seamless. And I think in certain scenes it really benefits. As I said, there's that scene with Emma Stone, his daughter Sam. They're arguing, and it doesn't cut obviously, but it just holds the camera on Emma Stone. It's almost like you're seeing it through the perspective of Riggin, who's Michael Keaton's character's name. I just had to look it up then. But it's almost like, yeah, you're looking at Emma Stone just yelling, and it's not like you're in his shoes. That's his perspective that's unbroken. And I always love when films do that one take trick, because that's what I think you get most out of. You get almost very true to life experience, because obviously in the real life we don't have editing. So I love when that does it. But
Now, was this movie before or after he played a Birdman in Spider-Man: Homecoming?
this was before. This was because it's 2014. This one.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny you say it, actually, because Emma Stone obviously was Gwen Stacy in the Amazing Spider-Man
Yeah.
film. But no, yeah. So this obviously won Best Picture as well back in 2015. It would have been, yeah. Yeah, honestly, yeah. It's just a really solid sort of, it's darkly comic. It's just a great character study on this guy with great filmmaking and using the superhero element, superhero film, superhero casting, baking that into the plot of the film and the characters of the film. It's really compelling stuff.
Yeah. It's one that I've been wanting to watch for a while now. I just haven't got
Yeah,
around to it, but it's been on my watch list. It's been on
yeah,
my watch list since the Oscars episode when we were going to do Best Picture
yeah,
ones. And
yeah. I
obviously that
think
was one I
pretty
didn't
good.
get round to, so I think I wanted one that was a bit shorter at the time.
Yeah, it's
Um,
only a couple. It's only 2 hours long, but it's pretty good. Yeah, I'd recommend it.
but so final one for me.
Final one for you, yeah.
Your
I
guess was
think.
wrong.
Huh?
Your expression. No, I'm not talking about Ghost Rider. I am talking about a Nick Cage film, but I'm not talking about Ghost Rider. And no, I'm not talking about Ghost Rider 2. Absolutely awful. No, I'm talking about a
What?
movie called Kick-Ass, in which Nicolas
Oh,
Cage plays Big Daddy, a Batman style vigilante.
come on, that's not fair.
Ghost Rider would have been too obvious.
But
And
that's
plus,
not
I just thought Ghost Rider was kind of mid, and then the second one was just bad. So I thought, well, Kick-Ass was good. And so I talked about our old 60s Batman. I talked about our horror, and now I'm talking about our almost like a cross between the comedy and the parody here of the superhero genre.
Yeah,
Kick-Ass is about a kid who decides he wants to be a vigilante and gets beaten up, and then he decides he still wants to be a vigilante, and one of the characters in this is Nicolas Cage, who plays a Batman alike, and he has a pretty much indestructible daughter called Hit Girl. And there's quite a funny scene where Cage is just talking nicely to his daughter while shooting her with a gun to test how strong she is. But
great parents in there.
yeah, but it was a really fun film. It was quite fresh to have something that was a little bit more grounded in reality. That it's not, oh, everyone has superpowers. It's that everyone's like vigilantes and whatever, and they have like weapons and whatnot. But there's not as much like ridiculous superpowers of like, oh, I can fly around, oh, I can magic. But it was quite a fun film. It was it was a little while since I saw it. I can't remember who the main actors were.
Aaron Taylor Johnson, he's kick-ass.
Oh yeah, wait? Didn't he go on to play Craven?
Yes, yes, he did. And
Oh,
he
what a
was,
downgrade.
and he was Quicksilver in Age of Ultron.
Okay, yeah, Quicksilver was fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a pretty good film. I've still yet to see the second one, but I just thought it was really fun when I watched it, and I thought I'd bring that up instead. And because I knew you thought I was going to say Ghost Rider for Cage,
You
this would
did,
be a
yes.
great curveball.
Bell end you.
But I wanted to avoid talking about any Marvel movies, even outside of the MCU, because I feel like a lot
Mhm.
of the kind of like 2000s ones weren't that great. They were just
They were just a
okay.
bit. They were.
I mean,
There's not really a lot to talk about them with the
yeah.
just kind of nostalgia.
And even the better ones like X-Men, X-Men 2, it's like it's still just
The
most
Raimi
nostalgia.
films.
And I haven't seen them for ages. The Raimi Spider-Mans would have been way too obvious.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
like I think it's like everybody knows why they're so good, and it's like they're the obvious picks.
it's like if I wasted a slot talking about The Dark Knight.
Yeah,
There
it's
would be
like
no point. Absolutely no
everybody
point.
everybody knows that, you know.
So I wanted to pick something. I wanted to avoid Marvel entirely because most of the
Yeah.
Marvel films are pretty well known. DC I wanted to avoid, but I was really struggling for a third one that I could also remember quite well, and I thought 60s Batman's fun.
Thing is,
It's kind of its own thing.
I think with that one, obviously, it's like the 60s Batman is so disconnected from
It's so different to
what a modern
Batman
superhero
in
film
general,
is.
let alone the rest of.
Yeah.
But yes, I thought
My-
Kick-Ass, Brightburn, 60s Batman. What a combo!
and then I got my final one.
Is it Incredibles?
So I did go for an animated film with this one, and you are right, it is Incredibles.
Ah, I know you too well.
Yeah, so yeah,
I knew
sort
instantly as soon as I suggested the topic that you were going to think of Incredibles.
yeah, because I rewatched this a few weeks ago actually, and
You
I
told me,
love it.
and that's when I was like, "Oh,
He's
yeah."
gonna pick this, yeah. Because I contemplated Spider-Verse actually, but I thought let's go for Incredibles. I think.
Spider-Verse would be a long discussion.
Oh God, yeah, it would
Depends
be.
which one you pick.
I think both of them would probably be. But with Incredibles, obviously, a Pixar film from the 2000s, obviously their golden age and whatnot. And it's obviously an original superhero film from Brad Bird, who's a fantastic animated director. Ratatouille, The Iron Giant, it's fantastic. And Incredibles, it's brilliant. Obviously, it does have a, of course, Fantastic Four film. It is the four of them. They are a family with superpowers and whatnot.
Very
But
similar
I,
superpowers to the Fantastic Four
in
in a lot
some,
of
in
cases
you
as
know,
well.
in some cases that is true. Um, but I think it's a brilliant film. I'm not going to say the pun that's obvious to say with this, um, but
You don't think
I
it was incredible?
it's better than that.
Fantastic, maybe?
No, perfect. But with Incredibles, obviously, it's just obviously it blends superhero films with kind of like 60s spy sort of almost James Bond-esque kind of stuff with the villain's base and whatnot, and sort of snooping around and spying and whatnot. It's great stuff. And then obviously mixed with a genuinely, for a kids film, a genuinely compelling family drama. That's why I actually don't like calling The Incredibles a kids film, because this is pretty dark. Like you watch some stuff in this, obviously, the actual human drama with Bob and Helen, as the family, you know, it's genuinely quite. Some of the bits where they're arguing and whatnot, Helen thinks Bob's having an affair when he's going and doing these missions and whatnot, because superheroes have been outlawed in this world, as you see in the sort of pre-title sequence at the beginning, which is like set way in the past when supers are everywhere. It's genuinely like very grounded and realistic stuff that doesn't feel like kids movie stuff. It's just a generally great film. And the bit that I think the dark part that always sticks with me, it's the when Bob is in Syndrome's lair, the villain, and he looks at the computer and sees the list of all the dead superheroes that has been killed from Syndrome testing this like robot out and whatnot. It just like it doesn't obviously show all these graphic images and whatnot. It just shows like their faces going across the screen, just terminated, 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 and it's quite dark for a kid. It's just how long that scene goes on for. No dialogue. It's brilliant, but yeah, it does what any great genre film should do. It takes that genre of superheroes and takes all their powers and whatnot, and it uses that as a way to explore the feelings of a man in a midlife crisis. That's very much what Bob's going through. Obviously, the struggles of Helen as a mother and whatnot. I think the superpowers of all the characters, even the kids like Violet and Dash, it really is fitting with their roles in the family. Bob is the strong guy who's trying to, keep the family together. Helen, stretched and whatnot. As Elastigirl, kind of almost like stretching the capabilities, like trying to keep everything together and whatnot. You got Violet who can turn invisible, because she's a shy teenager. You've got Dash who can run really fast because he's, excitable like preteen and whatnot. It's just brilliant, and there's so many interesting things about it. Like the stuff with Syndrome as a villain, how he got to be where he was. It's brilliant. All the like legal stuff with how Super's got outlawed at the start and whatnot. It's very interesting, and how it's just brilliant, but also it's not fun deficient. It's amazing. It's so fun. The animation's great. The visuals are great. The action's great. The music's brilliant. It has that kind of retro 60s spy music kind of vibe to it. It's just great, and it's one of the best Pixar films by far.
I have seen it once, and that was
Mhm.
back in the 2000s. So it's
Wow,
been a while.
been a while.
And I saw the second one
I
once
also did.
when it came out at
So did I.
cinema. So it's been a while. So I think I
Yeah,
probably need to watch Incredibles again at some point. Because I
I'd
don't remember
recommend.
much from it. Most of what I know from these movies at this point is just the memes.
Yeah,
Like, math is math from the second one. And then the
yeah.
first one, honey, where's my
Coincidence?
super suit?
Coincidence? I think not. Love it.
Yes, it's mostly just the
I love
memes
the
I
I love
remember at
the
this
Where's My
point.
Super Suit one. That's the thing. I was quoting along to this film. It's brilliant. That's the thing with a lot of 2000s animated films is that you can quote along to them. But it's like, I think definitely give it a rewatch now that you're older, because you'll really appreciate. It's a bit like a
Yeah.
lot of the more, I say, adult elements, but the more mature parts of the film that feel like you're not. They're gonna go over your head as a kid.
Mm.
But stuff like Bob's job in like insurance and whatnot, and some of the darker elements that I've talked about, I think absolutely give it a rewatch, because you'll really appreciate the film as a film, and not. That's what I want to do with like spotlighting some animated films on this. Appreciating films as films and not just as kids films or animated films, because there's a lot of work that goes into them. You
Yeah.
know, and Brad Bird especially, he's very much, when you see a Brad Bird film, they're not kids films. Like Ratatouille, I wouldn't call a kids film as such. Obviously, kids are a primary audience for it, but I wouldn't call them kids films. I'd probably call them family films.
That said, I'm pretty sure they announced they're doing a sequel to Ratatouille. Now, it's a missed opportunity if they don't call it Ratatouille.
Go away. How dare you? How dare you? I mean, this is the dad joke episode, but how dare you?
It can't be as bad as that knockoff version Ratatouille.
Oh, wait, no. Can we do a mockbuster segment one day? Can we genuinely do that?
Nah, gotta do something like that at some point.
I really want to do like a mockbuster segment because that'd be brilliant.
It'll be tough to choose what to watch between Ratatouille and What's Up, Balloon to the Rescue.
I'll watch them. What's up? I'll watch that.
And then the Finding Nemo one, Finding Jesus.
I want to watch what's the Cars one?
Uh, we need to do one with Mockbuster. We need to do one with just these really bad movies like
The Little Panda Fighter.
The Little Panda Fighter.
The Room.
The Room. I'm pretty sure I sent you an Insta reel about the Velocipaster as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This man's on Instagram now, so he's found out what Instagram is.
I found out what Instagram is. Your DMs are not safe from reels anymore.
Yeah, he found out what reels are, so he's just been spamming me with so many reels and memes and shit.
It's
but those are my three picks. So The Rocketeer, Incredibles, Birdman, and yours, Batman 66, Kick-Ass, and Brightburn. Some good picks. That's the thing. I wanted to, look at some superhero films that I say superhero films because stuff like Birdman isn't really a superhero film, but looking at ones that aren't just Marvel or DC, because I think when you think that, that's immediately what comes to mind. But none of these, well, aside from Batman, but none of them are, Marvel or DC.
And even then, if you say Batman, chances are nobody's first thought is the 60s one either.
Yeah, you don't. That's the thing, because I always sort of think of the Tim Burton 89 Batman and the Christopher Reeve Superman films. Those, I would say, are what kind of defined what modern superhero films would be like.
Yeah.
Definitely not the 66 Batman.
No, definitely
that's such a different era of entertainment. Yeah. It is very villain of the week in that sort of way. So it's a completely different way of looking at it. But yeah, I really, this is a really fun one. These are some good ones.
I think it's quite interesting, the contrast between how kind of gritty last episode was with the 28 years and then the war films. And this one's just been really fun superhero films this time. Yeah, it's quite interesting.
Only on our podcast will you get this kind of right.
Yeah.
That's what I love about it. That is what I love about doing it, Yeah. But even then, even something like Brightburn is a bit darker. But
yes, it is.
Yeah, but I'm glad we did this. I'm glad we did this segment on like other, alternative superhero films because I think with the past few years, obviously, the oversaturation of them with Marvel and DC, the kind of quantity of quality of it has made me kind of look down on a lot of superhero films, and I think to get reminded that actually there's some great ones, and great things like Birdman can spawn from that genre.
Yeah,
even if they're not specifically a superhero film, I think they can still spawn from that, which is great.
Yeah. Even then, in terms of superhero movies, I think we're starting to get back now with some good ones. I mean, sure, Marvel still are dropping some weaker ones. I mean, we had Captain America 4, and they dropped Ironheart on us, which I don't think anyone asked for. But
yeah, I was watching like a Marvel ranking, like including all the shows and whatnot, and there's some of them like Echo that I genuinely forgot even existed.
Oh, yeah,
I genuinely forgot it was even.
I don't think anyone asked for that one, and I don't think Agatha was great. Ironheart, I didn't even bother watching this one. My dad watched it and he told me how it was, and it was as bad as I'd expected, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm just like...
But hey, we got Borat as Mephisto, so
okay. Very nice.
Very nice. Actually, to be fair though, look up Sacha Baron Cohen now. He's gone through such a body change for this role. Like, he's actually built. It's crazy to think this was Borat. But
Borat got jacked.
Borat got jacked.
That is just a horrifying image, that is. A jacked Borat. That's just horror. That's horrible.
But Yeah, I think
What
this
are
was
we
a
doing?
good. Listen, we're wrapping up. We're wrapping up the episode.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
wrapping up the episode. This was a good episode.
He's dying. He's literally killed him off. Okay, so before Mr. Old just keels over and dies, right? Thank you for listening to the podcast. What do you think of Superman or Fantastic Four? Which do you prefer? That's the real $1 million question. And what are some other superhero films that you enjoy? Kind of like think of a bit more outside the box. What are some that aren't just Marvel and DC? What are some that you quite like and that you find interesting? So let us know all that. And until next time, we'll see you later because we genuinely don't know what we're going to do for the next episode.
Yeah, not a clue. You know as much
Are
as
you
we
better
do.
now?
Yeah, I'm better now.
Okay, you're not going to die. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys know as much as we do about the next episode. But yeah,
Yeah.
all that stuff Danny said, leave it in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and or whatever the alternative is on Spotify.
Yeah.
And thank you. Thank you.
We'll see you later. He's going to die now. He's going to kill over and die again. So we will see you all later. Take care.
Ciao.